back to another Pristine Productions here. I'm your host, mixing engineer Andrew Rayburn. I present the best of the best when it comes to content. Check out my YouTube page, hit me up guys, check out the videos that I do on the mastering and all that stuff. Check out my rhythms here, my tutorials on mastering for streaming. Also, if you want to learn how to mix like the pros, I have the courses on Coursecraft, which you can mix dance hall in a box. You can mix Afrobeat and reggae as well. So link in the description there. Also on my website, pristineproductions.website.com, just click on Shop Now. You can get top of the line rhythms here, including this new rhythm here that is taken from my new rhythm here. It says Zion Rising. And today we're going to be talking about pro vocal compression. We're going to talk about all about compressors here. If you have questions, want to know how to use compressors, we're going to let you hear how we use these compression to get the vocal to blend in the mix and match up. So it's all going to be all about compression today. So let's go ahead and do it. We'll let you hear a track here that I built. Taken from the Sam's Rhythm, Zion Rising. Gonna be on my source today. And there you have it there, folks. That's the track, the rhythm from Zion Rising. So if you want to buy that reggae drop there, the link is going to be in the description here. It's going to be uploaded sometime today in my store. So we're going to be talking all about compression today, guys, because I know many of you sometimes kind of, having a little difficult time understanding compressions here. So I'm going to go down straight to the vocal here, and I'm going to cut straight now how we do it. So I'm going to be using different compressors here. I'm going to be using the stock compression here, the stock compressor, the digital. We're going to be using the compression from Waves. I'm going to show you the difference between analog and why I mix for my clients as well across America. And shout out to them in New York and Miami, all around. Why I use the big heavy hitters like Soft Tube. Why I use stuff like the SSL. The reason why we're investing in these analog plugs, because they do put the juice in your mix. So let's get right down to it. So first thing is first here. I have the vocal here. I'm going to turn off the sends so you can hear the dry stuff. So this is the vocal without any treatment here. Let's play it here.
Boy, you know that you're safe, that you're here in my arms. I think that you should know that together we belong.
Now, as you can see here, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here. As you can see in the wave file, we had a pretty good professional vocal track here from this art from this vocalist here. You want to make sure your individual clips is at a nice standard level balance here. So when it doesn't, so the compressor don't react too much on it. So all I did was to brighten up the vocals a little bit. I'm not going to talk about EQ. I'm just showing you. I used the SSL here, about 7 dB, about 7.82.
Got me in the moment, you see. Come a little closer.
So I can get that nice top end there. So let's go down to compression here. So I'm going to put up the TubeTech CL1B here from Soft Tube, and I'm going to put up the compressor from the stock compressor from Studio One here. So we're going to talk about the compression and the controls here a little bit. So what is compression, guys? You hear about compressing and all the parallel compression and all these things. What exactly is compression? Um, Generally, compression is when of course you heard a lot about it. Is when a signal reach a certain ceiling. You set the ceiling like a measuring tape. So the when the volume exceed that ceiling there, the compressor knocks the signal back down to give you a more balanced signal. That's the purpose of the compressor. The compressor can also be used on things like kick drums, control dynamics, maybe a guitar, vocals especially, and also on mastering to control dynamics for compression, also volume as well, apparent volume. So that's what generally a compressor is used for. Compressors are also used on reverbs. You might say reverb. What do you mean reverb? Yeah, did you know if you put a compressor on a reverb and put like a distortion plugin on there with the compressor, you get a compressed sound combined with the vocal, you can get some interesting effects. Compression can be very flexible. So you'll get the controls like the attack, the release, and you'll get the threshold and the ratio. Most of the time, you'll see this on compressors. On the analogs side of the world, sometimes we get the attack, sometimes we don't get attacks from them. For example, like let's bring up the Summit Audio TLA. There's no attack. Okay, there's the attack. I'm sorry. There's attack release. There's no threshold. How do we get the threshold? It has a built-in threshold. So how do we do it? We add more volume by the gain input here, so the compressor can react to it, and then we just use the gain reduction. The gain reduction is pretty much like the threshold here, but it has a built-in system here to do that. So think of it as think of the gain reduction as a threshold actually. I know examples like the CLA doesn't have a threshold. You just got to use the input here, which if I can bring that up real quick here, the CLA 76, which Chris Lord Alge always uses here. There we have the blue and the black here. There's no threshold. There's only the input. So we have to drive the signal into the compressor so it reacts. And here we have the attack and the release as well. So now let's talk about the controls. Now the compressor, the attack is how quickly it's going to react to the signal. It's going to attack that signal. It either is going to soften up the signal or let the natural signal flow through. The release is how fast the compressor is grabbing and releasing that signal. If it releases too fast, you might get a pumping sound. If you release it too slow, it might sound like somebody put a pillow over the signal. And the threshold is when you set the ceiling. So I can get this and bring the threshold down, and it's going to compress the signal, bring it back up. It's going to compress less of the signal. And if we increase the ratio is the percentage or how hard the compressor is going to squash the signal. And then we have the knee, which is a gently easing in the ratio there. So that's pretty much the controls. You'll see attack, release, ratio, and threshold. If you don't have a threshold, use the input. And you'll see this in a number of compressors. This is how you can universally use any compressor, like mid-side compressor. You're going to see the same controls coming back. So we understand how the compressor works. You might see stuff like low cut, which you can actually allow the compressor here to ignore. Let's say if I turn on filter, ignore, let's say about 60 kilohertz. So ignore that bass and only compress what is above that. That's the reason for these low cuts and these side chain stuff you might see on the compressor here. If I go on the C1 here from waves, you'll see there's a threshold, there's a ratio, there's the attack, and there's a release, and there's a makeup gain. So when you compress stuff, you want to bring the volume back up. That's why you have a gain here. For example, this one here, the gain is actually input there, so don't be confused, guys. If I go on the Summit here, we have the gain, which is the input, the attack, release, the gain reduction, and we have saturation here. We can add additional saturated analog signal here. We have parallel compression here as well. We built in this compressor here, which is pretty cool. If we go on the SSL native here, you can see it in dynamics, which is compressor and gate. Here's the ratio, here's the threshold, here's the release, and we can set that at peak fast attack. So, and then we have the high pass as well. So we have similar controls when it comes to compression, so you won't be lost, every time. So let's go ahead and talk about why I use analog style compression more than sometimes the digital here. Pretty much analog, speak for itself. You can get that warmth, sound, that nice harmonic distortion sound to give the vocal more presence. So we're gonna show you some examples now that we understand how to operate the controls with compression. And a tip, guys, you always got to be setting these main controls, these attack, the release, and the ratio and threshold. If you don't have a threshold, use the input drive. These has to be always adjusted simultaneously. You can't just say, I'm going to adjust the ratio. You got to set this compressor to breathe with the track. I'm sure you hear that a lot. So let's start off with the TubeTech CL1B here. And we're going to mess around with the controls, and we're going to see different flavor and different color they introduce this signal. So let's play the vocal here.
Boy, you know that you're safe, that you're here in my arms. I think that you should know.
Now let's add the TubeTech here. And let's play it back here.
Boy, you know that you're safe, that you're here in my arms. I think that you should know.
Notice when she sings, I think I used to know, and she goes a little bit high, the needle brings it down to minus 1 dB there. So can you play the song?
That together we belong. Got me in the moment, you see. Come a little closer to me. It's the roller coaster. Ah, ah, ah.
So for this track here,
I can't define it. I just know the feeling.
now what happens if right now I have the ratio to 2 to 1 here. If I adjust the threshold to compress too much, the vocal's going to get quiet. Let's do it again.
I think that you should know that together we belong. Got me in the moment, you see. Come a little closer.
That's a little bit too compressed. You don't want to have that. You can say, well, Ray, you can raise the volume. Let's try that.
To me, it's the roller coaster. Ah, ah, ah. I can't.
In stuff like I can hear like a little too much compression there. So I'm gonna wheel back. So you want to use subtle compression. This is like 1 dB just to catch a little peaks here. If I set the attack to fast, check this out.
Can't define it. I just know the feeling you evoke. I can't ignore it.
We're gonna bring back. I can't ignore it here. I want to check on the needle when I adjust the attack here. I'm gonna bring it back to. Remember, if I told you if your attack is too fast, it's gonna grab the signal too much.
The feeling you evoke.
Carry it back to the middle.
I can't ignore it.
Notice when she sings high, it only compresses 1 dB because the attack is a little bit slower, so we allow more dynamics and more natural performance to come through. Let's bring attack to fast again.
Can't ignore it. I can't ignore it.
There it goes to 3 dB. There are cases where you might want to do that depending on the session there. Well, let's bring it back to where it was.
I just know the feeling you evoke. I can't ignore it.
So we want to get subtle compression here so the compressor can breathe with the vocal. If I increase the ratio now.
I just know the feeling you evoke. I can't ignore it.
It's going to react a little bit more harder, but 2 to 1 is generally where you want to start. So this is what we're getting here with, I'm going to bring in the delays and the reverb and that stuff so you can hear.
Got me in the moment, you see. Come a little closer to me. It's the roller coaster. Ah, ah, ah. I can't define it. I just know the feeling you evoke. I can't ignore it. I just know that I'm under your love.
So you want to make sure you're using the compression to keep that vocal in check there. So let me bring in the rest of the.
Boy, you know that you're safe, that you're here in my arms. I think that you should know that together we belong. Got me in the moment,
So we were not here. I can't define it as good when the compressor's off. Let's turn the compressor back on.
Define it. I just know the feeling you evoke. I can't ignore it. I just know that I'm under your love.
Now let's move on to another compressor here. That's a Tube Tech. Let's move down to the Soft Tube Summit here, and you can hear the characteristics you're getting from the Soft Tube. You get a little bit more presence in the vocal. It's a little bit more warm. A little bit warm means up in your face, kind of a little bit closer to you. Let's turn on the Tube Tech here and see what the difference is here. We have our attack set to slow. Remember, if we're going fast, keep in mind that's gonna like be attacking the signal too much. You're gonna be pressing it down. You want to start off with attack at slow. On the Tube Tech here, we can adjust the variant amount of how fast we want the attack. On this one, it's just fast or slow. So this is where you got to use the ears. We want the release to be fast, of course, and we want to be displaying our reduction here so we can see the dB. And we have a little built-in low cut filter here. So let's turn on this amplifying compressor here and let's see what we got.
Safe that you're here in my arms. I think that you should know that together we belong. Want me in the moment, you see. Come a little closer to me. It's the roller coaster. I can't define it. I just know the feeling you evoke. I can't ignore it.
Now this is working pretty well here. I'm getting 1 dB of compression here, and I'm happy with that. I'm going to compare these two real quick here. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to play the Tube Tech first, blue one.
But you know that you're safe, that you're here in my arms. I think that you should know that together we belong. Want me in the moment, you see. Come a little closer.
Let's switch to the other one.
It's the roller coaster. I can't define it.
Next one.
I just know the feeling you evoke. I can't ignore it. I just know that I'm under
Other
your
one.
love. That you're safe, that you're here in my arms. I think that you should know that together we belong. Want me in the moment.
Other one.
Come a little closer to me. It's the roller coaster.
I'm not sure if you can hear the difference, but the Tube leveling amplifier is doing a little bit more compression than the blue Tube Tech, and it's giving the vocal a little bit smoother sound without squashing it. And so that's the two different tastes I'm getting from these here. This one kind of gives you a little bit more upfront vocal, a little bit more presence and natural, while this one gives you a smoother sound. Let's go now to the stock plugs now. We're going to compare them in a bit. So I'm going to turn on the compressor here. I'm going to make the adjustments here. We're going to go at about 2 to 1. Let's just try 1 to 2. We're going to do some ratio here. Let's go ahead and see how the stock sounds.
But you know that you're safe, that you're here in my arms. I think that
Let's set the ratio to 2 to 1 like the other analog plugins here, and see what we got. So I'm gonna set it at 2 to about there. Let's see what we got.
that you're safe, that you're here in my arms. I think that you should know that together we belong. Want me in the moment, you see.
Remember the attack. How do we know if it's fast or slow? Then we just adjust the milliseconds here. So if we see more signals being compressed, that means it's the attack is too fast. If we go the other way, then we know what is slow.
Come a little closer to me.
the release, set as fast.
Can't define it. I just know the feeling you evoke. I can't ignore it.
I'm gonna raise the volume just a little bit, just so we can be fair with the other compressors.
You see, come a little closer to me. It's the roller coaster. I can't define it.
Now let's compare the analog here. I'm gonna show you something. See if your ears are picking up. I'm gonna start off with the stock, and then I'm gonna unmute the blue tube tech and the white TLA. So here we go, digital versus analog compressor.
You should know that together we belong. Put me in the moment. You see,
Tube,
come a little closer to me. It's the roller coaster.
leveling amp,
I can't define it. I just know the feeling you evoke. I can't ignore it. I just know that I'm under you.
bring that part back here.
Define it.
Stock,
I just know the feeling you evoke. I can't ignore it.
listen to when she says I can't ignore it. Listen to how the stock plug-in kind of it's although it's set to 2 to 1, it's compressing too much.
I can't ignore it.
Now listen to the white TLA on that line.
Can't ignore the feeling you evoke.
Here we go.
I can't ignore it.
It sounds more natural, and that's because the tube and all these artifacts with these compressors is doing great. So we know that the tube tech, the Bluetooth tech, and the TLA is doing a very good job on this vocal. The digital stock, unfortunately, the ratio 2 to 1, which is pretty low, is still compressing her too much when she hits the high note, which is not sounding too good. And obviously I can hear it, and also the vocal kind of sounds a little more quiet with the compressor, because why? There is no analog stuff with it. This is a digital compressor, and this is why we like the analog stuff. You get that the best of both worlds. So I'm going to try to be fair. I'm going to bring the ratio down a little bit more to see if we can get some decent signal here. I'm going to try 1 to 5. Let's bring back the track here. I'm going to use the stock plug. I'm going to bypass the 2. I'm going to use the stock compressor here.
Boy, you know that you're safe, that you're here in my arms. I think that you should know that together we belong. Put me in the moment. You see, come a little closer to me.
Let's compare
It's a roller coaster.
blue. Listen to the compression.
I just know the feeling you evoke.
TLA.
I can't ignore it. I just know that I'm under your love.
Stock. Back to stock.
Now you're here in my arms. I think that you should know that together we belong.
Blue.
Put me in the moment. You see, come a little closer to me. It's the roller coaster.
White TLA.
I can't define it. I just know the feeling you
Back to
evoke.
stock.
I can't ignore it. I just know that I'm under your love.
I can still hear a little bit. I can still hear a little bit too much compression on this. Although we're down to 1.5, and check what's going to happen if we bring the ratio further down. We're going to be getting less compression on the vocals, so we're not gaining anything with this digital compressor. It's not to say this stock compressor is bad, but for this particular vocal, for this reggae genre, we need up in your face vocal kind of thing, natural tones, little body, and this compressor is not working for that. So maybe this can work with maybe an EDM or something. So I hope you can hear the difference here. So I'm going to switch to wave now. I'm going to bring wave up to the front, and we're going to see how it reacts to the vocal. I'm going to compare them with the compressors as well. So let's go ahead. Now, if you look on the waves here and the ratio, you might see some numbers like 1.15 and go up. This one is like a rough ratio of like 1 point, a ratio of 1. If we go past that and we go all the way there, we have a ratio of 2. If we go higher, you know, we go like limiter mode. So I'm gonna start off with, let's start off with like about 2 to 1 here.
I think that you should know that together we belong. Put me in the moment. See, come a little closer.
Now the attack, if we increase the number, it's gonna slow the attack. If we decrease the number, and then it's gonna soften up the signal.
With me is the roller coaster.
We want to get like 1 dB of compression to line up with the rest and see how it goes.
You should know that together we belong. Put me in the moment. See, come a little closer. With me
Go to blue.
is the roller coaster.
Back to waves.
I can't define it. I just know the feeling you evoke. I can't ignore it. I just know that I'm under your love.
Bring it
Now
back.
you're here in my arms. I think that you should know
Blue.
that together we belong. Put me in the moment. See,
TLA.
come a little closer. With me is the roller coaster.
Let's go back to waves. C1.
I can't define it. I just know the feeling you evoke. I can't ignore it.
Now you might say, Ray, what's going on? Check what is happening. The C1 compressor it's breathing with the vocal. Although we're at 2 to 1 ratio, which is performing better than the stock compressor from PreSonus. I'm getting good compression, but the vocal is I'm not getting that extra analog tone. That's all I need. I'm not getting a warm sound. I'm just getting a good compressed vocal, preserving the performance, but it's not really adding that extra grit. So the C1 here, which performed better with the stock plugin here, even though this one was at a ratio of 1 to 4, it was still vocals sound still a little bit over compressed. The C1 doing much better, but it's not really working. Now what we can do, this is a compressor / expander. So if I reverse what I'm doing here with the ratio, I can actually let this compressor expand the sound. Maybe we can try that. So let's go ahead.
Now you're here in my arms. I think that you should know
I'm gonna take threshold off.
that together we belong. Put me in the moment. See, come a little closer. With me is the roller coaster. I can't define it. I just know the feeling you evoke. I can't ignore it. I just know that I'm under your love.
I'm gonna make some let's adjust the attack here.
Are you safe? That you're here in my arms. I think that you should know.
Now since I'm literally going below the 1 ratio, so I'm gonna reverse the behavior of this compressor. So rather than compressing now, it's gonna be expanding.
Arms. I think that you should know.
You can see the light is turning yellow here, so letting us know that we're expanding the signal.
That together we belong. Put me in the moment. See, come a little closer. With me is the roller coaster.
Bring the threshold down about 1 dB.
I can't define it. I just know the feeling you evoke. I can't ignore it. I just know that I'm under your love.
Let's compare that
Now
now
you're here in my arms.
to
I think that you should know that together we belong.
C1.
Put me in the moment. See, come a little closer. With me is the roller coaster.
Two.
I can't
So to top it off, guys, the expander is giving the vocal more volume. It's not really compressing, it's expanding the signal, so the performance is going a little up and down, but it's still not warm, so we can't use that, or it's not going with this particular genre. The SSL has a compressor here as well. I'm not going to jump into that, but we're only comparing these ones, so you can understand the reason why these analog plugs are built to behave like the hardware, and you're getting that natural tone, you're getting more body, you're getting these warm tubes and stuff in there to get a good sound. So you might say, well, okay, Ray, well, which one of these ones are you going to use? Either one can work. Let's go with the Tube Tech. I'm going to bring in all the tracks here. I'm going to bypass the compressor and put it on back. You can see this compressor is helping the vocal to cut through the mix. The high part. So I'm gonna stop there, guys. So what we learned today, we learned about the attack and the release, the controls that you normally find on majority of compressors. So don't be fooled or don't be scared. And we learned that sometimes the stock digital or even digital compressors like from the Wave, I mean, this thing is good on a lot of stuff that you want to keep natural, but with natural compression, that's when you can use like the digital and the stock stuff. But as you can see, majority of the time using the analog plugins really gives you just by the signal passing through these analog plugins. This could be a analog EQ or a compressor or tape machine. Just by the signal passing through these things, you're getting a touch of analog sound and that warm sound. So that's what I was getting with her vocals running through the Tube Tech. You might say it's only compressing like a dB. Same here for the TLA, but still it sounds natural. Like you don't even know a compressor is there. You just feel that the vocal is natural and there's a needle moving. And while with the stock compressor here, I'm not knocking PreSonus. I've used this compressor here on certain songs too, but not all of them I use it for. You know, so not because it's digital means you can't use it, but in this case, I'm not getting any coloration. I'm not getting any color with this compressor. I'm not getting any warmth, no tube, like the TLA here. So this was not the best choice for the vocal. Although we dropped the ratio to try and compensate to see if we can still get away with it, but it didn't work. That's where the Tube Tech came in, and the tube. And so you might say, "But Ray, are you saying all analog compressors are the best?" It depends on the session. Means these work pretty great for this vocal, but if maybe it was another as track or instrument, maybe these would not would work for certain sounds. So it depends, but most of the time, they're a very good starting point. You can probably get away with using these on drums, guitar, and still get some very good results here. That's what these things are known for. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Remember, guys, you can hit me up on YouTube. Check out my latest videos. I'm going to be releasing the Zion Rising rhythm that you hear in this demo video here. And you can check out my course. Just click on the CourseCraft link right here. You can buy and enroll in the dancehall, reggae, and Afrobeat, and I also have the soca that I'm selling as well, the soca mix on my website. You got to go to my website for that one, and you can make your purchases on my website as well. So I'm going to stop there, guys. Thank you so much for support. Keep the support coming. If you want me to mix and master for you, you can email me and we'll get down to business. So see you guys on the next one.